Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the AI Tech Salon with Ray Fernando. So in this week's episode, we're going to be going over a bunch of AI tools. And one of the battles we're going to talk about today is going to be about this new SearchGPT. I just got access, and so we're going to do a little bit of a comparison with SearchGPT versus Perplexity. So Perplexity Pro does a bunch of searching for you online and uses AI to distill the information and present it to you. And OpenAI has actually launched their own version of that. It's called SearchGPT, and that'll allow us, we'll do some side-by-side comparisons and see kind of which was the winner there. And today we're also going to cover another thing called Flux, which has been taking the whole world by storm. And if you haven't heard of it by now, it's basically this open source image model, which allows you to generate near realistic images. And it's competing with the latest image generation stuff like from Midjourney. And it seems to be much more realistic than the stuff that's been out by Stable Diffusion. So I have access to some of that stuff, and I'm going to be able to play around with that today. And I also have access to Grok, which is another way that we can use this image model, and I'll be able to kind of showcase that today. So we got a bunch of stuff going on, and before we get into that, I'm going to go ahead and talk about a little bit about a release that's been coming out from Newest Research, and they've just released the new first full parameter fine-tune of Llama 3 405B. So this is really, really interesting. They were talking about this on the Thursday AI podcast yesterday. So if you haven't tuned in, Thursday AI is like the best show that you can ever hear for AI news and tech and various things. And that's kind of how I stay up to date on a lot of what's going on. And then I have a show every week so that you can tune in every Friday right around noon Pacific Standard Time. And that's kind of what we're doing right now. And so what I learned was this new model is extremely good at following instructions. So whatever you put in your system prompt is what it will do. And their philosophy is that they believe that AI is a tool just like a car is a tool to use to drive. And if you use a car to go do bad things, you should probably not, you should be reprimanded for those reasons. And so they have basically taken the open source model from Meta, that 405 billion parameter model it's a really monolithic monster. And they've actually fine-tuned it to accept instructions. So whatever you tell it to do in a system prompt, you can do it. And if you can host this infrastructure, what that means for your business is if you wanted everything to be private and not have to go through and pay an open source or pay someone to do all this type of stuff, and you wanted to keep your data in-house, you can probably start to do that with this type of model. So they've released this now out to the world for people to use. And I definitely want to let you know about this because I feel like this is probably one of these biggest breakthrough moments that's happened in the open source models and AI type of stuff that's going on. So definitely feel free to check that out in this Hermes 3 from Newest Research. And they have a little bit of blog post about that. And the other thing, and they actually have a blog post detailing all the little details and stuff that they actually went through to do the fine tunings and things. And so breaking out a little bit out of that, I wanted to tell you about Flux. So Flux is really, really fascinating, and people have been using Flux along with other tools to generate near realistic images and scenarios of things. So Heather Cooper is one of my favorite media AI influencers out here. And so she's been able to use the Flux Realism Pro and then put that into Gen 3. And so Gen 3 is like another type of thing that will take the images. You just put an image in, it starts to do an animation. So you say, I want this person to be on the red carpet, and it does this little animation. So it takes that image and makes it basically seem extremely real. And as you can see here, other people are doing things with influencers. So with Flux, you can generate these images that are near like realistic looking. And what's amazing is that people are then popping them in to then generate videos with them. And so then it just becomes this whole great unlock that maybe people weren't really expecting, because it's a lot to take in if you can kind of think about it. Because look at these images. They look near realistic. And here's some other really funny ones. So Pietro let me kind of make myself a little bit smaller here. So Pietro was able to use a prompt and say CC footage photo. So he was able to make these near ultra realistic images. And that's what's really interesting. And this is there's a little bit of a gray line that is going to start being crossed right now. But as you can see, some of these images look super realistic. Like you could have like Jesus walking through the store. Like that's so crazy, right? I mean, if you're imagine look at these guys that are breaking in. So here's the scary part that people aren't really considering is the fact that if you make an image like this, and you can frame someone for doing something wrong, even though they never even did it. Think about that for a second. You can frame Jesus walking through your liquor store, stealing your stuff, just by going to one of these type of things and generating an image. That's like super controversial. And I think there's going to be a lot of interesting implications going forward for this type of technology to understand, is this generated? Is this not? How do you know? Like, I don't know, and so people are going to try to, like, that's the biggest, I think, question a lot of people had. And it's going to be really crazy to see what happens. And here, look at my friend Ashuto generated this, based off the inspiration of that. And it's not even 2025 yet. And like, this is what's crazy. So these images are now out, and this type of technology is available to the public to start generating with. So people are obviously pushing the limits here for things. But I thought in a different spirit here, people are actually using this to generate. One of the best things about this is you can generate kind of themes. So it really is really good at sticking to characters. So now you can start to generate characters that are in these types of things and kind of make it like you can tell stories or make cards or do this stuff for business. And what's really cool about it is that it basically sticks to that style. So people are now training their own like tarot cards and kind of using this type of stuff with just Flux, Tarot V1. So somebody's basically trained a model that can generate these tarot cards. And just think about the creativities and stuff that you can use for making, business cards or like thank you cards or little, fun stuff or fun games. I think that's going to be a real interesting use case there. And of course, the other thing that people want to do is make themselves into a superhero. And so there are actually fine-tuning steps that you can do by uploading some images and going through with Replicate. It costs about $7 and you get 75 minutes to try to generate these images. There's other ways to do it as well. And if you're interested in doing that, I'm actually going to be seeing if I can do this on a live stream next week, where I'm going to be able to grab some of this stuff. And I have an Apple computer and I don't really have like a GPU type of thing. And I was really pleased to hear that Ani from Apple was able to find the Fusion Kit. And that is actually working with Apple's MLX framework. And for those who don't know, the Apple MLX thing basically allows you to run the stuff on your Mac and utilize all of its resources. So that way you don't have to have a GPU. So my favorite saying is, if you're Apple rich but GPU poor, Apple MLX is for you. So this basically combined with this, Ani was able to take this and put this together and generate this really cool image just with his M1 laptop. So there's a setup command to do this, and basically you just run this command here and you should be able to generate the images. And so my goal this like weekend and this coming week would be to try to make a like user interface type of thing so that you can just type it in and just utilize your Mac and just, set it up once and not have to keep doing these command lines. Because I find sometimes doing this into some type of other interface would be really useful. So the ARG Max is the one that basically had made a little announcement with the Fusion Kit on the GitHub here that's provided. And then this GitHub is basically the one that is the open source repo here for this. And as you know, it's also really good at generating text in the images. So that's another thing. So people are making these animals and figures and things. And just like the use cases here are really kind of growing as far as how people are getting really creative now with text. Because before, when you would try to ask it to generate text, it was not really good at doing that. So this is kind of just how you get this stuff set up. And then, theoretically, you should be, on the go type of thing. So I thought that was really interesting. So there's also another tutorial that Angry Penguin posted. He's known here for working a lot with these images models and stuff. And actually, Matt Wolf has provided a free tutorial. So he's actually goes through step by step on his YouTube video that explains how to actually make images of yourself for free. Because I believe Replicate or one of these types of things provides a way for you to do this, like with like some $10 credits. So you still can train 2 to 3 LoRa's with that. So that's a pretty sweet from Replicate. So that's going to be a cool way to basically, allow you to try these models out and so forth. So I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. And for those who are just tuning in, my name is Ray Fernando, and I used to be an engineer at Apple for 12 years, and now I'm currently on my own exploring AI and doing this show to kind of showcase some of my passion with AI and bring forth the latest tools and kind of let you know kind of what's going down in the streets, if you know what I mean. But from my perspective, because I have a Mac and I'm GPU poor and obviously Apple rich with my laptop and doing some broadcasts. And so I'm here to connect with you to kind of share my learnings with AI, and also share a little bit of kind of things that I find during the week that are really, really interesting. And one of the interesting things that I find throughout the week is that I actually got access to SearchGPT. So SearchGPT is a really cool thing. And this is from OpenAI. And this is basically going to be like the Perplexity killer is kind of what I'm kind of thinking here. And so Perplexity, for those who don't know, is a way for you to type in some information to find out about stuff. So I could say, hey, tell me about Apple MLX. And then I hit go. And basically what it's going to go ahead and do is that not only is it going to just search the internet like it normally does, it's going to search many resources. And then all those resources are actually going to be listed like all here. So it actually searched Reddit, it searched Microsoft, it searched Apple's forums, it searched GitHub, and it also tries to take your question and really try to understand what you're asking. And then it uses AI to kind of summarize all of its learnings and provide you some information and some key details here. So if we zoom in a little bit, this basically provides an answer for us of like, what is this type of thing? And here's some key features and some capabilities. So that's pretty cool. And what's going to be really interesting is that I want to show you a little bit how I use Perplexity in my life to really save me hours of time. Because one of the hacks that people don't realize is that you can actually use this for travel planning. I was trying to previously use ChatGPT to say, hey, I'm going to Italy in the winter, or I'm going to Italy in the spring. I'm going to pack for a couple of weeks. Like, what should I take? And so ChatGPT would generate stuff, but it didn't really have access at that time to go search stuff on the internet or go find out what the weather was. And then when it did have access, I'd have to give it multiple steps saying, go check the weather. Oh yeah, by the way, I'm like 200 pounds and I'm 6'3". So like I have to, I want to pack lightly. And there was like a lot of things that kind of kept telling it over and over again. And so after like a 30-minute conversation, I would get something useful. And that's kind of where Perplexity kind of changed the game on that, because it starts to know what you're doing and start to kind of think through things through multiple steps. So that I'll take you through that process. So I just wanted to show you real quick what SearchGPT looks like from OpenAI. And so if we type in the same question, say, tell me about Apple MLX, and go search, this is the interface that you're presented with. And so it's presenting you this stuff about, Apple X, MLX, the machine learning framework, including the M1, M2 chips. It doesn't really know about M3 yet, I guess, for whatever reason, which is strange. And it actually lists some of its resources. And so it kind of looks, like a very simplified version, and has some of its things where it references them about the GitHub repository. And so another interesting thing I thought what I use it for was in programming, I like to use like Perplexity and these types of things. If I just hit new chat, I use it for like finding out queries for things, because a lot of times I'm trying to solve a very specific problem and I don't want to go search through different forums and different GitHub links. So I just say, what's the GraphQL query for a Shopify API to check how much inventory is left for an item. And then if I do that here, basically what it does is it does two different searches actually. As you can see right here, it just does search for a GraphQL example for Shopify API to check, and then find documentation to actually do that. So it does two searches. And as you can see, these are the sources that it did. And it basically combed through all these sources. And then it generated the answer and also gives me the code, which is just really mind-blowing, all in one session, right? Just from one question that I asked. And so here's the answer. And to use this query, it actually like breaks down the example. And if you need to check inventory across multiple locations for multiple items, you might want to do this instead. And then it also allows me to do any follow-up questions like, okay, how do I implement this into a React component for my next.js 14 app with TypeScript? And then go ahead and do that. And as a follow-up, it basically then starts to do 4 more searches just off of that. You saw how fast this is. This is using Perplexity Pro. And so the Pro version will take your question and then with that follow-up, then try to understand, like, see how it says, here's research, look up best practices, find example implementations. And so then it's scrubbing through like YouTube videos as well, which is amazing. And then also like the Next.js websites. And then here it is. Here's the TypeScript code that I need to actually do this with using a React component, and how I will pull this information down into a component and then pull that into like using the API and using that. So like that's really, really cool. And this is just all in one go. So I think it'd be really fun to see if we could try this query in the exact same steps here with SearchGPT and just see kind of how it does here. So if we do go ahead and go SearchGPT, I'm going to go ahead and put that same question in here, and let's just see kind of what this generates. So boom, actually this was really fast. So to check inventory for a specific item, you can use this and then replace your title. And so it looks like it's very similar in terms of how, what it's SearchGPT seems to make it more succinct here, and then the follow-up question I did, it's like, how do I implement this for like a TypeScript type of thing? So if I do this here, and let's just see what it does and see how it references. So yeah, this is really cool. Just kind of comparing the two here. Sweet. Wow. So this is live, by the way. This is like SearchGPT doing its thing. Dang, it came through. This is pretty awesome. Okay. Wow. Okay, so the follow-up here. Wow, this is amazing. Okay, I got so much stuff. It took us through implementing the GraphQL. It like tells us how to set up the Next.js project and does like the React client provider. And it tells us about wrapping the provider around the root children. It definitely has given us a lot more detail, especially around coding questions. So that's an interesting use case here. I feel like that this could be really useful for in the SearchGPT for like coding questions and how you do like implementations and adding stuff in. That is really awesome, actually. Wow. And the level of detail it went through seemed to be on par with Perplexity. Huh. That's really cool, actually. I like that a lot. Huh. So I think that is really interesting. So another thing that I do very frequently is I ask it for like finding places for gluten-free is pretty tough for me because I have celiac disease. I have to very frequently, look up a lot of different sources, not only in Google, but then search different apps to find things that are gluten-free. So I've been going to San Francisco very frequently. And what I do is like look up gluten-free food for celiac in San Francisco. And so I was in the Russian Hill neighborhood and I was just trying to see, what resources you can do. So let's go ahead and search kind of both. And then let me go ahead and see if I could pull this side by side. That way we can kind of do almost like a side by side comparison. So let's just kind of pull these together here in this fashion. And that way we'll kind of, have side by side or whatever type of thing. Oops. Cool. Yeah. Search GPT vibes. All right, let's get it. So I'm going to make a new search here for Search GPT, and I'm going to put the same thing here. And then that way we can kind of compare side by side, and you can see that here. So we're comparing right now Search GPT versus on the left, and then on the right is Perplexity Pro. And, I may have to move my head or make it a little bit smaller just so that we're kind of maybe here. All right, let me make my head a little bit smaller. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'll chill right here. All right. I think this will be better. Okay, cool. So on the left, I like what SearchGPT has done is that it knows that I'm looking for restaurants and I kind of want to scroll through it like an app. I like that a lot. Look at how this interface looks. This is really good. And on the right, Perplexity just kind of does it in their Perplexity style. It's like, okay, it first shows, I think you're looking for this and here's your sources. And then here's some dedicated gluten-free restaurants. I like this a lot. Having celiac disease, I have to find things that are fairly dedicated because if there's cross-contamination, if they're preparing something and there's flour there and then they put the pizza on top of it or they have their gloves that have flour on it, I can get sick and it sucks. It sucks really bad. So that's just FYI. And so this actually calls out on Perplexity Pro, what specifically ones. And so they say gluten-free friendly. And so that's a big pet peeve of mine because if you say friendly for gluten-free and there's cross-contamination, that's not friendly, actually. That's actually makes you really sick and horrible. And you could, I don't know. It's just all bad. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is just say gluten-free friendly isn't actually friendly for people who have celiac disease. Why do you say that? And so I'm going to see what it says. When I say gluten-free friendly, I mean that restaurants offers gluten-free options and take precautions to avoid cross-contamination, making it safer for people with celiac disease. However, it's important to note that level of safety can vary. Yeah. So I guess that's kind of what they mean. Some restaurants, as you may learn, if you don't have celiac disease, this may not like resonate with you. But for people who may know someone who has that, some restaurants will say they're gluten-free friendly, and they're not. Like basically what they mean is just like, we know that there could be some cross contamination, so we're friendly to you. We're happy to have you here, and we can give you some salads. And so like that's usually not that exciting for like dinner wise. I usually skip those places. So this is cool to get that clarification. But look at all these restaurants, right? The thing is like, can you make me a map of this? I'm going to see if ChatGPT can follow up and make me a map of this. Can you show me a map of these restaurants? I want to see which ones are close by. And so, did it make me a map? Oh, let's see if I click this. Gluten-free restaurants. Oh, so it just basically does a Google query of the gluten-free restaurants. And it doesn't necessarily actually have the same restaurants that are in this here. Okay, this is confusing now. So highlight gluten-free. Gluten-free is mentioned in reviews. Okay. But it's not really showing anything more than that. So let's take a look at Perplexity AI. So it says these are dedicated restaurants. So not only does the Brazilian Cafe offer free gluten-free menu, including all of these, but it's highly rated for celiac safety, with 96% of the reviewers saying that. And the source that it gets it from is Find Me Gluten-Free. So Find Me Gluten-Free is actually an extremely reputable resource. Oh, somebody's walking on my roof. Wow. And they actually, like, for the most part, do a pretty good job of like combing through the reviews and like verifying that people have talked to the restaurant owners and saying, you know, are things actually gluten-free or are they not, type of things. And so, yeah, I tend to use Find Me Gluten-Free as one of my resources that I use for celiac stuff. And so Camino Alto as well is listed here, and it's a great choice for dining. Here's others for like gluten-free options, which are cool. And so what I like about the Perplexity Pro is it kind of broke down, like in this neighborhood, you're probably looking at these two. It's already pretty hard to eat for gluten-free, but to me, this helps me narrow down my choices. Where on the left side with the OpenAI version, it basically just looks like it does this query with gluten-free eats, and it just says, it basically kind of just got the list from Find Me Gluten-Free, but doesn't do an additional like thinking through of how to organize that information and like the, as a celiac person, like what I'm looking for generally. It just says, here's these restaurants, go check them out. And I still have to do a lot of work. And the whole point of AI is so that I don't really do a lot of work. And to me, that's kind of another +1 to why Perplexity Pro is right now currently like the leader, even though SearchGPT isn't been fully released to everyone yet. You know, I have like basically a preview version of SearchGPT. And so it's useful, but it's like not that completely useful. And, you know, to me, I still trust using Perplexity here, especially for like searching for gluten-free restaurants. And I just thought, hey, let's go ahead and check that out. So let's do another thing that kind of I search for. So I think I like to also ask about various restaurants or like events. So when there was like, what happened recently in the news was this lady had passed away, who actually was, her name is Susan Wojcicki. And I was like, oh, wow, like I don't really know a lot about, you know, Susan, because, you know, I live in the Bay Area and I've heard of Susan, but like I don't, you know, day to day interact and with this type of person, with this person. And so I thought, well, let me just type in the last name and then see what pulls up, because I actually do want to learn more. And so what's interesting about this is that I just typed in the last name, and there's actually many people that are named Wojcicki. And so there's like Anne Wojcicki, there's Susan Wojcicki. And so it knew within the context that because so many people are searching for this, that this is probably what I'm looking for. And so what's great is that like, cool, with just that one word, I was able to just paste that in here and learn, you know, more about each of them. So or not, just more about like kind of what are people talking about? What's the significance and so forth. So on the left is SearchGPT, and it just basically does this quick like Wikipedia overview of Susan passing away at the age of 56 and a significant figure. So it's like in a couple of sentences, I already kind of know, grew YouTube from 2.5 billion to 30 billion in revenue, and, stepped down in February to focus on health. And, on Perplexity on the right kind of goes into more details, and like where she was born, Santa Clara. And so for me, basically allows you to kind of search through in depth and things. And what I like about Perplexity Pro here is the fact that it gives me follow-up questions, because sometimes I don't really know what I should continue searching for if I'm really curious about a topic. And so these suggestions are pretty interesting. So like what was Anne Wojcicki's background? So Anne is like the sister of Susan. And so that's something that I knew, but if you don't know that, you can click that and you start to kind of go down this rabbit hole. And so like what impact did Susan have on Google's early success? I can click that here on Perplexity Pro, and basically, it's going to do a search. And as you can see, it's actually doing 3 different searches and using all these different resources right now for Perplexity to come up with this answer. So it searches contributions, specific examples of the impact, and then expert opinions that have talked about Wojcicki's role in Google's growth. And so then that starts to actually outline it. So like now I have a more detailed type of summary of what's going on. And if you can imagine, like this is really great if you're a podcaster or if you're interviewing, if you're trying to interview a guest and you don't really know a lot about them and you need to get some information very quickly, I would think about Perplexity, because you can just kind of keep going down this rabbit hole of asking lots of questions. And I definitely find that very useful and stuff. So for those of you just tuning in, you're tuning into the AI Tech Salon by Ray Fernando. And I usually have a co-host, Ronald Monick, and he's currently out. And I'm kind of doing the show today. And so I'm featuring basically a SearchGPT versus Perplexity Pro. And we're just kind of doing a little bit of a deep dive and hands-on, because not a lot of people have access to SearchGPT yet. And I do have access. So I'm a huge Perplexity Pro user. And I thought, hey, why don't I just do this on a live stream? So that way you can see like the way my use cases are for the AI. And maybe you can learn a thing or two and how I use this. And then also kind of we'll see the differences between the two and rate them, because I actually haven't really gone very deep. I've been wanting to do a deep dive, and I thought, why don't we just do it live? Do it live, my friends. And that's how we do it. And for those who want to ask any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments here. I could say hi. And then what's great about this is that, if you are on Twitch, I could feature you. If you are on YouTube, I can drop that in. If you are on X, I can feature your comments as well. So feel free to do so. And if you have any questions for me to put into this SearchGPT thing, I'll be happy to put that in if you want to kind of check it out with me as well, because I think this would be kind of fun we're kind of playing around and doing these types of things here. And that's kind of the way that we do things. So I think another one was for trip planning. So what was really cool is my friend his dad is actually going to Ireland. And I thought, hey, isn't this a great example for planning for how does this work if you're using AI and these tools for planning a trip? Can this do it pretty well? So I just said, it's going to Ireland and landing on Dublin on October 9th and then leaving on the 16th. And so I basically was pretending to be my friend's dad. He's like, I'm adventurous, love to visit pubs, talk to people and do hiking. What should I see while I'm there? So I go to like the Pro here, and it's basically doing its thing. And so let's go ahead and put this into SearchGPT as well and see what happens. Let's see how we get this here. Let's see, my friends. Cool. Wow. Let me kind of move myself a little bit. So SearchGPT gives us this little top attractions here at the top here. And then it says Dublin Castle, Trinity College, Dublin. This is pretty cool. So this is on the left is like very scrollable, like easy to see. What I like about the left side is like it's very picture heavy. And the left is basically SearchGPT. And it shows us, hey, like these are cool things. So what drew my eye is the Cliffs of Moher. So if I click this, wow, that's beautiful. Yeah, Ireland's so great. If you haven't been to Ireland, definitely go check it out. That's so cool. So this is, from basically chatgpt.com. And so on the right is more of like, you see how it did the pro search. And so it tells us Dublin for 2 to 3 days. Like this is what you want to go see in Dublin. Wicklow Mountains 1 day, Galway in the west, 3 to 4 days. And then you have Northern Ireland for about 1 to 2 days. So it has this type of Belfast Titanic Museum, take a tour of a giant causeway and stuff. And so that's pretty cool. And what I like about this is I like both versions. To me, I'm a little bit more biased to the right. Like, I feel like the left is really good to get started and some pictures. The right seems to be much more comprehensive in terms of like what I feel like I'm talking to. I feel like I'm talking to a travel planner on the right. And I think that's a very useful use case here. And so what my friend says, like, he said he had a car and he wants to travel all over Ireland. So the follow-up question is like, where should I go for that period of time? You know, if you have a car and want to travel all over Ireland. And so I'm going to ask both of them and see kind of how they respond here. And so in this scenario, it's like, what's cool about SearchGPT is it actually gives us a itinerary for the trip. Just in that real quick, isn't that crazy? So it literally took all the different things in like an instant and figured it out. Wow, that's really cool. So starting in Belfast, it just goes all the way around. So you can drive from Belfast and go around basically in 18 hours. That is pretty cool. Actually, that's really, really awesome. And these are really great. I've driven from Cork to Dublin, so that's a really cool drive there. Like a couple of hours. It's really nice. Wow. So it just gives you an itinerary of doing that, which is cool. And it covers a mix of historical attractions and stuff. Huh, that's really cool. That's awesome. Does it show us anything here? Yeah. Okay. Wow. And then on this side here, it says, I have a car and want to travel over Ireland. And so here it just tells us about starting in Dublin and then where to go for each types of sides here. And it isn't as cool. It doesn't have like that map view that we were looking at, but it does give the similar amounts of details. And I do like that it tells you like to spend X amount of days in each types of parts of town. And just right off the bat, you kind of have like a good way to kind of plan what you're looking for in Perplexity. So that's another use case, especially for travel, like how you would do that type of thing. And so that's a really, really great thing. And so another thing that I was using this for was to compare like benefits for things. So I just signed up for a new credit card for American Express, like the business version. So I was like, hey, how's the American Express Business Gold? Like, what are the benefits? And so I just used that in both of these. And so like the tough part of using AI to search for things is the fact that whenever you put something in, like Google will follow you around the internet forever. Like forever. It's like, oh, hey, you're interested in a credit card? I want to get in your pants too. I mean, I want to get into your wallet and your bank account. And I heard you're sniffing for a credit card. I need your wallets. And so it's like, you know, I also want your social security cards and give me all your things, you know. I'm like, chill, bro. Chill. It's like, and so what's cool about using Perplexity is the fact that you kind of abstract yourself away from the search engine. And so this, like somebody else is doing the search on your behalf. And so that way that you can do that and look it up. Prince Kanuma, the MLX King, has arrived. Hey, how's it going, Prince? Welcome to the show. Today we're doing a little bit of deep dive on SearchGPT versus Perplexity and just kind of having some fun. I just got access to SearchGPT, so we're totally having a lot of fun and trying to avoid the Googles from chasing me around and trying to track my down. Like, hey, I heard you got good credit, so I want to see if I can steal your information. No. So yeah, MLX King in the house. Let's go. Yeah. So Prince Kanuma is cooking. Actually, that's what I'm going to do next. I'm going to do a Prince Kanuma search. So I think I'll do that after this. So I'll say, oh, here we go. Cool. It's just replaying the business gold benefits. So yeah, real quickly, basically, it looks like it did a breakdown of like what the actual current rewards are earning here for American Express on the right, which is Perplexity. And then it also gave me like the statement credits and savings for each like category. So for business, it's different than the personal card. That's kind of why I specifically said business. And it gives me like the shopping protection and additional perks as far as the annual fee as well. So wait for tomorrow. I'm dropping something crazy that can help with RAG on device. Air horns, let's go. I'm so hyped for this. So yeah, I'm gonna I'm gonna go check that out because that's gonna be really, really cool. I'm so hyped. MLX stuff is really, really cool. And as we talked about a little bit earlier about Flux and all the different things, and Prince is one of those people who's been able to the models drop. He's doing a lot of contributions to the MLX community. Definitely go check him out, Prince Kanuma. And we're gonna do a search about him shortly after this and see what it turns up. It'll be really cool. So that way you can find out some more. And so on the left side, we have ChatGPT, SearchGPT, and this is giving us a similar breakdown here about the points and stuff. And so business gold 4x on 150 combined purchases for the calendar year. Welcome bonus, it even talks about that here. That's interesting. So it's just organized a little bit differently. And it does cite the different sources for statements and travel credits. So pretty much the same. But these are really good types of things to give these AI systems so that you can do some comparisons, and you also don't have like a bunch of cookies chasing you down on the internet to find different things. So who is Prince Kanuma? C-A-N. Okay, so I said this. Let's see. Yo, Prince Kanuma, aka Blazy, is an ML ops engineer and the founder of Kulisiwa. Has a background in machine learning operations, has worked with Neptune AI. Prince has a strong interest in AI machine learning, has contributed to the field of various projects and publications, also known for involved mentoring and speaking and engagements and sharing his expertise in the broader MLX community. That's awesome. That's actually really cool. So his diverse work here has a presence on a platform like GitHub and shares his projects and so forth. So this is like a quick summary. And so Perplexity Pro broke it down with like YouTube videos and GitHubs and like X feed information, and it goes into like a way more depth on this side. So that's pretty cool. So this is like machine learning, engineering, data science, entrepreneurship. Founded Derma AI, where he worked from 2018 to March 2021, with a little reference here and on LinkedIn. That's pretty cool that I pulled that in. Has web development, has experience as a senior web dev in information technology. Has education certifications as well. Let's go. Perplexity Pro comes in clutch with like all of the information. It's really helpful for finding information about guests. I swear to God. Yes, it's so crazy, right? So online presence and contributions, and like maintains 76 repositories showing his work. So like that's really cool. Like that level of detail is amazing that it's able to provide. And then on Twitter, it says it shares insights with the AI community under his handle Prince_Kanuma, which is awesome. And then if you click this, it takes us to his Twitter profile. Super cool. This is that's definitely good, and has a YouTube channel as well. So according to you, bloggers are in danger. I don't know. It's just really about how you find information, if you know what I mean. So like, I feel like if you're a blogger, you can then talk about how you find information. And at the end of the day, I feel like it's all about value, right? So the reason why I'm doing live streams is to it's just the way that I work. I am a visual person. I have dyslexia, and so it's really hard for me. It takes me like 10 times the effort to learn something new because reading is just really, really rough for me. And so I think in this day and age, there's a lot of stuff going on with video, with YouTube, and live streaming is kind of like a really great, authentic way to connect. So I feel like the blog is kind of a way to then dump my thoughts into something that's a little bit more concrete. And not a lot of people have a lot of time to just kind of sit through an hour video and crunch that thing. So they're on the go. So there's just different use case, Mohammed, for different things. And I feel like there's like newsletters and things that people like to read and get in the inboxes and stuff. So I feel like there's a case for everything. And what I think there's another advantage is that you can convert these things into like what they call like a page. And so let's see, so open app. Oh yeah, so what Perplexity offers is this ability to convert this into a page. And so when you do that, now you basically create your own version of what I think is a Wikipedia page. And so within that, I can actually select, it says introduction, machine learning experience. And so now it's created a whole page for Prince Kanuma, which then you can share. And so now it's literally generating this page on the fly as we're doing this. So that's one example, and one huge proponent of Perplexity Pro that I like a lot is that now I have like a page. So I could even make a page for myself. And once this is generated, I'll show you what we can do as far as editing. Because then you can then drag to reposition. This is you can drag this to reposition here. So we can do this, boom, this is Prince Kanuma. We could even change the image if we wanted to, but it literally just pull this from his header banner from LinkedIn. And then we can insert sections here. So we can insert a section on whatever we want. So Isn't that crazy? And then we can take the existing information that's already generated and like rewrite a section to put any other information. So any MLX mentions, you know what? I think it has some, but we can add a section. So like machine learning, we could just search, what's the section about? Apple, MLX, and Prince Kanuma. Let's just do that. Like, there we go. Yeah. And then I think MLX Experts Showcase. Yeah, that's awesome. That's so awesome. And then we can even add media. So it's going to try to find, that's so crazy, right? This is crazy. This is literally like your own Wikipedia page. And then like you can publish this thing. So this is how it would look like. If I publish this, you could just send this out. And this could be literally your link in bio. This could literally be your own website if it's you. And then you can just, edit it if you want to. These are the sources that it's referencing. This is so crazy, right? So, and then continue editing. If I want to continue editing, you could even change like the style. I think you can turn the sections into like you can move them down, and then different sections you can change. Like if there's images or videos and stuff, creative and innovative traits. So there we go, and publish it, and then boom, now you have a link. So like if I go publish, yeah, I can just go ahead and copy the link. I'll put it up on the chat here, and then whoops. And then I think, let me just go ahead and see if I can put this on the stream, because this would be really cool to have on stream so that we have this. Oh, my header banner. Mark Andreessen retweeted me twice. I forgot about this. And so he took one of my tweets, like laughed his ass off, and then re-quoted himself later on and still continued. So yeah, that's a different story. So in here, I'm just going to go ahead and add it to this thing on our stuff here. Go ahead and reply. The first 10 minutes was excellent crash course in AI news. High signal. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Lou. This is great. So Prince, you can go check it out. I have it at the bottom of the X stream there. And for those who are on chat on YouTube and Twitch, I've posted the link there in the chat, so you can go ahead and check it out. But yeah, so if you open that up, basically it'll open up to this page here that's been published about who is Prince Kanuma. And now we have, a whole thing here. So it's really cool. And you can edit the page, obviously, and do the different things. So I'm going to bookmark this, save this for later. So yeah, that is actually Perplexity in a quick nutshell, if you know what I mean. And for those who are interested, I actually have like one of these things where like if you sign up for Perplexity, you can get like $10 off, which is awesome. And it's basically their way of like doing a referral. So like with the referral, like, it's basically give and get $10. So what's nice about that for me is that, it helps me benefit, but also, I'm doing this literally because like I don't get paid for this at all. And for me, this is just a really cool way to share this information. I've been a huge Perplexity fan, and I just wanted to tell everyone about this because it's just been really awesome. And just telling you my use cases and seems to be very, very helpful. So if you want to sign up, I would definitely, let's see, sign up $10 off. I have the link, Perplexity Pro. And if you use the link there and sign up, you get $10 off. I get $10 off, and everyone wins. So it's pretty cool. So definitely feel free to check that out. Big fan myself. Yes. Yeah. Perplexity is amazing. And I feel like the use cases, we're just getting started. I also, if anyone has any cool queries that they use, definitely feel free to share them because I'm just kind of going through some of the stuff that I've been going through in this last week that I found like extremely helpful. And like sometimes, like I also use it for very basic information. So like a lot of times when I search for things on Google, when I search for them, like how do I pair a DJI mic to my Mac? This is kind of what I get on Google, right? It's like, okay, I misspelled DJI and it tells me like this thing here. And so I go here and then it gives me a YouTube video and it like takes me there, but I don't really want to scroll through and like click all these different forums and links. Like who's got time for that? Ain't nobody got time for that. Come on. Like, what do you think this is? We're in the age of AI. We got to use these tools to our advantage. So let's go ahead and create a new search here and let's put this in Perplexity and let's see, let's cook, my friends, because this is the way we cook. So I'm going to turn on Pro. I'm going to do search and I'm going to do this here. I'm going to do search here. So if I can use ChatGPT 4 on Perplexity, then it's worth paying for ChatGPT 4. That's a really good question. So I think your mileage may vary, and your use cases may vary too. So if you're already paying for a version of ChatGPT, then and if it's working for you and like the answers are succinct enough and it works great on ChatGPT, I'd say use that. The way I look at this is a lot of people look at it maybe as $20 here, $20 there, and it's just depending on what you're doing. I use this a lot for business. I use this a lot for personal use. And so the way I look at it, it's like $20 is like having the cheapest employee ever to go do things. I'm a huge fan of tools and things that kind of extend my mind, that can do things on my behalf and eliminate that stress. So my goal is whenever I have a task that's on me, if I can do it in less than 2 minutes, I do it right away. I immediately get it done and just get it out of my hair. That way it's just gone. And what happens over time is all of these tasks have continued to pile up because it just takes too much time. Okay, I have to pair my Mac with the DJI mic and I have to go through all these links and figure out what's going on. And that's just going to take a lot of mental energy. But now what I do, and this is a really good question, it's like, how do you value one platform or the other, is like, just try them both. And, I feel like I could try, if you have any questions, Alan, let me know. And I'd be happy to put one or the other in each so that we can try them out. And so in the pairing to a Mac use case, I just want the steps for how to do it. And so here it looked up all these YouTube videos and it gave me the steps. It's like, make sure it's turned off, turned on the transmitter by holding the button. It gives me like the 7 steps. And here it basically does the same thing. So for simple things like this, it kind of basically gave me the same output. For the complex planning stuff that, like, especially around trips, or help me plan something for like a trip, like, I think I was doing something for Spain. So I'll show you an example I was using for Spain. So we'll do that one next so they can compare. So for something that's straightforward, like kind of top of mind, ChatGPT or this can work pretty well for something that like says like how to do something with a Mac or something like that. For something that's like more multi-stage, I would say like, here's my query and one that I did for Spain. So I want to move my Spain trip to the fall. When would be a good time so I can experience the temperatures in the mid 70s? And here's my itinerary that I have so far. So I give it my basically itinerary that I was talking through in a previous chat. So I'm going to put that here and then put that here. And what's great about Perplexity is able to look up the weather information, look up all this historical stuff, average temperatures, and then they kind of give a sense of how I should reorganize my trip in the fall so that I would, experience this type of thing. And, here's the answer. It's already kind of generated here. And so on ChatGPT side, it just says, it just didn't really do anything. It just says, here's the temperature, plenty of sunshine. That's it. Okay. Like, I don't think it really answered what I was trying to do. Huh? Question mark? Clarify your query. What was my question? And so like on Perplexity, it clearly figured out, the time frames and like the several advantages here. So I like their voice feature as well. Yeah, I do like the voice feature of ChatGPT, which is really great. So if I use ChatGPT on Perplexity, then is it worth paying for ChatGPT 4? ChatGPT 4. So I think you may be referring to like the query and then like which is the response and which model it may use, I think, because you can select the different types of models. I use Claude Sonnet for my model, which I find very helpful. I don't want to miss out on the latest improvement in AI. I have Gemini, ChatGPT 4, but not Perplexity. However, I have the Rabbit R1. So Alex, if you're not familiar, since you have the Rabbit R1, one of the things that you can do is actually take advantage of one of the offers, which they offer. I think they offered it for the first X amount of people who bought the Rabbit R1 is a chance to activate your Perplexity Pro plan for a year, which is basically the cost of the entire Rabbit R1. So that's, $200 offer basically included into your thing. So you may want to look into that so that you can experiment. It's part of the reason why I've been a big Perplexity Pro user and I've just been even more in love with it. It's different than the regular non-pro because the pro can start to grab the additional insights and do additional searches for your behalf. And to me, it seems like well worth it. And yeah, I don't really use Gemini that often. In fact, I use more Perplexity. And then I'm trying this SearchGPT stuff, to be honest, because I just got access and I haven't really been using it. And so I was like, I need to really use it. So I switched to ChatGPT Plus for Perplexity, but it's for personal uses, not business. Yeah. It just depends on the use cases and stuff that you're doing. And it doesn't, what I find really strange is the fact that the Search GPT didn't really understand what my query was. It's not that I was asking for the weather. I was literally asking it when was a good time to change, to go. And this is kind of when it told me to go to like, and the expected temperatures that I wanted for my trip. So I did find that really interesting. So yeah, so trip planning is definitely things I use a lot. And so the other thing, let's see, here's another one that I use because another thing that I do a lot is, obviously a lot of trip planning and things. So like this is kind of one of my favorite use cases for Perplexity, but I'll just do another one here. So I've said plan a 3 to 4 day trip to British Columbia with mid to high end places to stay. My friend is in his late 70s and we want to hike and walk. We're also like very nice restaurants that are gluten free due to me having celiac. And so the time frame is near July 5th, as that is my birthday. So I'll give both of these the exact prompt that I use to try to look this stuff up. And we'll get to see, like who does the best planning here, basically, right? So trip planning is a big deal for me. It's something that I do very frequently. And, this is a great moment for AI to see if it can actually help, augment this type of thing. Like I said, the more often that I can compress the time to get stuff done, the more it gets out of my head and I don't have to think about it. So, and so in this very quick time frame, it was able to look up these different places on Perplexity. And so here's a 4-day British Columbia itinerary. So Vancouver to Whistler to surroundings on the left with SearchGPT. And it gives me additional trips for gluten-free dining. So it tells me about like the morning and so forth. So B&B, ANO, yes. I guess, I don't know what that means, but yes. Yes. So this is really cool. Like, that's a really nice, succinct itinerary. It's really easy to digest here on ChatGPT. It looks really good. Is it useful? Maybe, maybe not. What I like about, like Perplexity, it seems kind of like, like not that it's the same, but it's like it's split the days up a little bit differently. So day 2 is Vancouver to Whistler. And so over here they have that in day 4. Day 3 is Whistler. So it tends to group the surroundings in a similar fashion. Victoria. Does this have Victoria? No, it doesn't. Oh, that's interesting. Vancouver Alley. Oh, interesting. Stanley Park. Yeah. Okay. Celebrate your birthday at Il Terrazio, an upscale Italian restaurant with gluten-free options and a beautiful atmosphere. That's nice. So birthday. Does this even reference my birthday? No, it doesn't. Huh. That's interesting. What about gluten? So the only thing it says on the Search GPT for gluten-free dining is just that it has restaurants, but it doesn't actually mention any restaurants specifically. Huh. Dine. Food? Yeah, that's interesting. Well, okay. It definitely fell short on that. Where here, every single part of the day has actually a restaurant mentioned. So here in Vancouver, it says enjoy dinner at Nightingale, an upscale restaurant known for its locally sourced ingredients. And then for day 2, it's like dinner at Araxi restaurant and oyster bar. Let's go. That's amazing. That's really cool. I mean, yeah, this to me, Perplexity is clearly like the winner here. I mean, I like that fact that it gives me these recommendations for dinner at each different day. And like the fact, I mentioned about gluten-free and then birthday, like it even talks about my birthday, right? To celebrate your birthday here on day 4, to do that. Let's go. And so like I could even ask it like senior friendly hiking trails, since I'm going with a friend who's older, right? Like that's cool. And I don't think there's any of those types of suggestions here. And for me, it feels like I can keep going down the Perplexity rabbit hole with even more types of information. And it's so great for people who are very curious or who are into planning, I feel like Perplexity really wins here and outshines because it kind of goes into a lot deeper details. So yeah, that's that. I feel like in conclusion, there's kind of like a couple different things that are going on here. One is that like you have Search GPT This just came out from OpenAI, and it's not really publicly available yet. They only have a couple people like me and some other folks who are allowed to use it right now. And it seems to be like a much like shorter version or summarized version of like a search engine. So you get a Google version of search, but it's a little bit better. As far as what they call like multi-step reasoning or multi-step planning, you're saying, okay, I'm doing this and I'm doing X, and then can you give me Y? It just kind of says like, I'll try their search, and if I don't get too far, I'm just going to drop what you're going to say, and you figure it out. You can ask me again. And so we find out for like travel related things, it kind of falls a little bit short for that. And Perplexity Pro seems to really shine in that multi-stage reasoning, because it tries to get your question and try to truly understand what you're asking, and then asks different queries multiple times and then chain them together and then produce like a big summarized result. If you're just doing something that requires like one step type of thing where you're just saying, hey, just give me the instructions to like repair my refrigerator, it'll like, or I have a leaky faucet and it's this thing, it'll do that. If you're doing something that requires like something simple, like, hey, I just need to figure out, how to code this type of thing, SearchGPT seems to do really, really good as far as like helping you with code generation types of questions, or how to implement something in terms of a tech stack. So if you're saying, I want to integrate Shopify in this GraphQL query, please go ahead and generate the code for that. It seems to do that extremely well in our experience here that we saw. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. And so I feel like that's a really big advantage. And so another thing that I did, which would be really cool, very recently I had an issue with my the Tesla car tire was actually kind of running low. And so what I did is I uploaded the photo onto Perplexity and says, how much air pressure should I fill up for this Tesla tire? So I was actually able to take a look at the image, and then it saw that the tire mentioned that had this specific size. And then it looked up in these various forums and told me what the PSI I should use for like filling up the car. And then even gave me, like some suggestions as far as like, hey, yeah, if it's a cold tire measurement, the car hasn't been driven in the last 3 hours, just make sure that, here's the recommendations, here's the various things. So I should be able, like, I don't see like an upload for image option here on SearchGPT itself. So that's an interesting thing. It's only text that you can ask things in SearchGPT. So it would be really cool that like maybe in the future, if they do enable an option in SearchGPT where they'll like allow you to upload a photo, because that would just be really, really like next level, where you say, hey, here's a photo, help me cook this. And then it could just go off and start to do multi-step things. That's probably another like big, plus for Perplexity, is the fact that I can upload a photo. I literally took a picture of my tire for my Tesla, and it did that type of thing. So that's a little bit of kind of what that is. And if you're interested in this type of stuff, I definitely would go check out Perplexity. And I actually have like a little sign up link. If you sign up, you basically get $10 off, so give and get $10. So I, give you $10 off, and I also get $10 off. This is not sponsored by any means, but I thought it would be a fun day to do a little bit of a breakdown of these two types of things. And if you learn anything, definitely give a thumbs up. I also like retweet or talk about this so that it spreads it out to other types of people like this. And if you like this type of content, feel free to follow me. My name is Ray Fernando, and I used to be an engineer at Apple for 12 years. And I'm currently on my own, exploring AI and doing this type of content to kind of bring a little bit of a different perspective on tech, and just try to explain it to you and tell you as I get access to these types of tools and play the different things. So I really enjoy AI tech, and stay tuned for next week, because I have a lot more goodies to drop, and can talk about some other stuff that's coming up. And if you want to stay tuned, I also am going to be doing something really great this weekend. This weekend, I'm actually going to be playing around with this AI tool called Cursor. And so Cursor is an integrated development environment. And what that allows you to do is to let you cook. So if you thought we were cooking with Perplexity, imagine being able to do that, but with code. That would be really crazy. So like with code, imagine if you're saying, okay, I want to code a $1,000 landing page, you could be able to do that. So I was actually able to achieve something like that with my friends over at Cursor in San Francisco yesterday. And I want to share a little bit of kind of what I learned from there. And I have a little bit of things that I'm using in some prompt magic with Claude. Hey, Tony, how's it going? Welcome to the stream. So cool. Excited to hear about your new ventures and kind of what you're up to and stuff as well. So thanks to everyone for tuning in. And I really appreciate this and appreciate the follow. You can find me at RayFernando1337 on X, at RayFernando1337 on X. And give a follow, give a like. Also, give a follow to the YouTube as well. And appreciate the thumbs up and everything that everyone's doing. Hopefully you have a great weekend. Stay high on the vibes. Don't do anything too crazy with Flux because you can make those realistic images. And I'll see y'all in a little bit. Take it easy, y'all. Peace.